now to bring up one of those pastoral sons. We are so proud of him. Longtime member who has gone on to now pastor his own church in Humble. I don't know if the Congresswoman is still here, but he's now one of your constituents. And that is Dr. Timothy Sloan, pastor of St. Luke Baptist Church. Come on up.
I hope the Congresswoman is here. I got a permitting issue in Humble. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I was needing it. Real good. Listen, I am convinced now. I meant that, Congresswoman. I am convinced more than ever before that collectively Houston has, I think, some of the most oratorical geniuses of politicians that make a lot of preachers feel insufficient about what they're going to say. But I am grateful nonetheless for the privilege afforded to me this afternoon to share with you, to our esteemed pastor, Dr. Marcus D. Cosby, and to our beloved founding pastor, Dr. William Alexander Lawson. I am so grateful to be a son of this church and to have had the privilege to come up under the tutelage of Dr. Lawson and to have had him pick me out. Over 16 years ago, I was sitting on the third row over here when he walked over to me, and it was the first time that I had ever attended Wheeler, but I had sent Pastor Lawson a letter and told him I was new to the area and was interested in coming and sharing with him, and he noticed who I was. He took my face out on that third row at the 11 o'clock service, and he said, "Tim, good to see you." You're going to do the altar call next. And thus, I was drafted into becoming a part of this wonderful family. I'm torn right now between really picking a text or giving a few remarks, but since my pastor said you got 3 minutes, I'm going to lean towards the remarks. I am so privileged to be a part of Wheeler, and I think I speak on behalf of so many sons and daughters of this church, that it is such a great joy to be a part of the Wheeler family when you know that you have Pastor Cosby, who we all imitate in our preaching. Not real good, but we do the best we can. I try to joke like him, but I get tired real quick. And Dr. Lawson, who just the memories of moments with him have helped me through some of my most difficult moments in ministry. And Wheeler is again the flagship church for our country that, I think they ought to know everywhere we go we mention their name. And I do it as a son, and I talk about our church is building a new facility. I said, aren't you pastoring in Humble? I said, but my church is Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, and my pastor, Dr. Marcus D. Cosby, and that changes a whole lot of people's opinion of you when you mention his name. You know, can't preach a lick, but he know Cosby. He must be all right. And I throw it around quite often. But he is my brother, and he has been there for me, and I'm so grateful for him. Let me say this. I'm teetering between telling this story, but I'm going to do it because I got a minute left. I was going through my most difficult moment in ministry, and it was a fight of epic proportions. In fact, KHOU, I shouldn't have said that name, the station called it a fight of biblical proportions and number. And I was going through this season not knowing how to handle it. And And I called Pastor Cosby. I said, man, I need to get a meeting with Pastor Lawson. Can you help me? And he said, absolutely, I'll make it happen. And I drove over here. We hopped in the car, and we were driving. And so I knew I had a few moments to tell my story and get what I needed. So I began to tell Pastor Lawson what I was going through, what I was facing, and what I was feeling. And that I didn't know what to do. I'm a young pastor. Pastor Lawson, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to handle this conflict. I just don't know how to deal with it. And I'm pouring out my heart. And he listened to me so attentively. And then he just simply said this. He said, Tim, preach and teach the hell out of them. Chitlins, or do you want baked ham? I mean, we were headed over to this is it. This man's words that day, honest to God, helped me through. Because I learned from him that, Tim, it ain't about you, your feelings or your emotions. It's about the Word of God. The Word of God. And the Word of God will always set things straight, even when your mind ain't right. I'm a living testimony. The Word of God works every single time. Finally, I've been looking from the outside in like so many, and I've seen our growth. This is our worship experience. Will enclose the power, the presence of an eternal God who reigns, rules, and has all power in his hand. Thanks be unto God for his goodness, his mercy, and it endures forever.